Hello and welcome to the CNBC-TV18 special. I'm Shereen Bhan. As I said, Davos 2025 is either about Donald Trump or about AI and its transformational impact. Joining me now are two IT services veterans here inside Cognizant to take us through what 2025 looks like, but more importantly, what will be the moats that every company in this space will need to figure out as it gets even more fiercely competitive. Surya and Jatin, thanks very much for joining us here on CNBC-TV18. Let me start by asking you about the overall environment at this point in time. All the conversations that I've had with people from the tech world today seem to suggest that 2025 is going to look better than the last year, and all eyes now on what deregulation in the US could potentially mean in terms of opening up more opportunities for the IT sector. Surya, let's start with you.
Thank you, Shereen. First of all, thank you for having us and welcome to Cognizant Shala in Davos. The entire conversation of this event is all about AI and the pivot from experimentation to scale. That has been the theme of the event here, and throughout 2024, majority of our clients were in the experimentation phase. So we expect a change in that, and in the back half of I think we mentioned that in the last quarter earnings too. In the back half of last year, we started sensing cautious optimism in our clients. And we had four variables at play throughout last year: the US elections, inflation, interest rates, and geopolitical tensions. Some of those variables are leveling out. So that gives us a sense of optimism. And this event, there is a discussion on that in this event too. So overall, I think it's all about AI and the pivot of AI from experimentation to scale.
I'll get to AI in just a second, but Jatin, as we heard there from Surya, the mood is changing, but has it moved to optimism, or is it still in the cautiously optimistic space?
I would say it's still cautiously optimistic space, and the reason for that is especially the economic factors are far from settled. So if you see the latest inflation report in US, it was the third month in row where the inflation came higher. So far we were expecting that there will be 4 cuts. Now people are predicting 1 or 2. Or none. Or maybe none, who knows. So there is this still a sense of what's 2025 is going to look like. That question mark still lingers on. Having said that, there is definitely a stronger note of confidence that we see from overall corporate world, be it in US or be it in Europe, and which is a good sign to have as you start a new financial year.
But is it particularly in the BFSI space that you're sensing this confidence?
It is. And the reason for that is the performance of the companies themselves. So if you really see the recent results, the results have been quite spectacular. Also, in sectors like BFSI, there is always discretionary and what I'll call time discretionary. The time discretionary can only be sort of deferred, but has to sort of caught up from compliance and other angles. So I think some of that time discretionary is coming back. It is reflected in Cognizant's third quarter numbers, as we reflected. 2 of our largest segments, which is BFSI and health, both have sort of really done quite well. So overall, yes, it is reflected in the performance of the companies and their beginning of the spends with us on what are time discretionary elements are.
Health, what are you sensing from your health clients at this point in time as well, on the hope of perhaps deregulation, more deregulation as and when it is announced?
Yeah, there is sense of optimism in the healthcare industry. And as you know, Shereen, we are very deep in healthcare industry. We work across payers, providers, biopharma, and medical devices. And we do have our own platforms in healthcare too. And roughly 2/3 of United States insured population is on our platform. We are confident of our healthcare business, and the dynamics in the market are also, giving sense of optimism, for our health business.
Well, now let's talk about AI, which is, of course, the big buzzword. But the buzzword has changed from generative AI, which everybody was talking about last year, to Agentic AI. Now, I was lucky to get a little bit of a crash course from Babak earlier. And, I now at least get a sense of how it works. But everyone on this street is talking about Agentic AI. Everyone is talking about a solution that they will offer to their customers for Agentic AI. what will the differentiators be?
That's a very good question. Actually, the differentiation for Cognizant is our deep domain expertise. The technology prowess for building agents probably is common across, but the differentiation comes in our deep domain expertise across the industries. We have deep domain expertise in healthcare, we have deep domain expertise in financial services. And the fact that we know our clients' business processes in and out, and we have been serving those clients for a very long time, gives us that permission and expertise to invoke our domain expertise and domain strength into building of agents. That's where the differentiation comes. That's what Babak probably explained to you earlier.
Yes,
yeah.
no, that's true. But Jatin, just to take that forward, that is going to be one of the key strengths that you leverage on, the domain expertise that you have in two of the sectors that are very close to what Cognizant does. But it is getting fiercely competitive as well. So, what will be the additional sort of strengths that you bring to the table in order for you to be able to take this from pilots and experiments to scale with your clients?
So I think in addition to the domain expertise, which helps us sort of leverage the agentic AI workforce that all applications or SaaS applications are building for our customers' use cases. So that's one which Surya talked about. But I think one other thing that companies like Cognizant can do much better is that we have an enterprise view of our customer. So we can go and create an enterprise version of that agentic AI, which goes and talks to the whole ecosystem of agentic workforces. For example, if the question is, when this sale will convert into cash, maybe you will need to go to 4 applications to answer that. And it is the expertise of companies like Cognizant, which comes to fore where you have a sort of a central agent, which is speaking with 4 agents to get an answer out for the consumer. And that's where, so it's akin to system integration, but in a very, very different and a sophisticated form that Cognizant can deploy with its domain expertise that Surya spoke about. So that's where our differentiation comes.
So it's also de-siloizing the business, so to speak.
Absolutely.
So, let's continue the conversation on what and how much people are willing to adopt at this point in time, how much are people willing to spend at this point in time, whether the appetite to scale is there. Surya, what are you sensing?
So actually, Shereen, I look at it in 3 vectors. I think the first wave is addressing the productivity and efficiency part. The second wave is infusing AI across applications. Third is infusing it across the value chain or at the enterprise scale. For the first vector, I think the clients have adopted it really well to drive the effectiveness and efficiency, leveraging AI. Call it tech for tech, using AI to write the code, or for contact centers to drive the productivity, the customer experience part.
How much of that are you doing at Cognizant yourself?
I mean, we are doing across all these 3 vectors.
No, but on writing code.
Oh, we are. In fact, I think we said it in the last earnings call. About 2 million lines of code was generated by AI for Cognizant. Roughly about 20 to 30% of code. Yeah. So I think we are doing that. So our clients have adapted the first vector really well, which is efficiency and productivity. The next vector is infusing AI in the applications layer, building agents, building the orchestration platforms. That is where the pivot needs to happen, and the expectation is that 2025 is going to be that year where the pivot, where the clients would migrate from experimentation to scale in the second vector. Once that is done, it moves to the enterprise.
So what are we talking about? At the enterprise level, are we still maybe 2 to 5 years out, depending on which sector, which industry, what size of industry, etc. as well, Jatin?
I wouldn't say 2 to 5 years out. I think we are probably looking maybe 18 to 24 months.
Yeah,
because this is progressing fast. I think the first question which customers were asking is this real? An answer, I think, is vehemently yes. There is nobody who is...
So that debate is settled.
Correct. Now the second question is, can I take it to the scale?
Yeah.
And I think there are more use cases which are feeding to more use cases, and therefore it's becoming a snowball. For example, somebody in HR creates an application which touches, let's say, 300,000 employees. The next question to CFO would be, what have you done to do a similar impact to, let's say, all your vendor payments? and so on and so forth. So it's not 2 to 5 years. I mean, it is maybe 18 to 24 months, if not earlier.
If not earlier.
That's how the customers see it.
You know, but the next question that I would imagine that customers are also asking is, what is the return on investment? And, you know, what is the expectation on that front? Productivity gains we've talked about, but in terms of cost savings and in terms of what it actually means at the enterprise level, what are we talking about?
I mean, again, you'll have to look at it in 2 or 3 dimensions. Productivity, it's established that you know, the productivity unlocking could be in the range of 20 to 40%, depending on who you speak to or depending on the circumstances. Then when it comes to infusing AI across the enterprise scale, no one has an answer as to what it would mean. But everyone expects that it's going to boost, it's going to impact the revenue growth eventually.
Because we don't have the answer yet, are people still a little nervous about sort of going all in at this point in time?
I mean, could be yes and no. Could be yes and no. Because unless you, it's like chicken and egg. Unless you really go forward and experiment, or unless you take the leap of faith. Exactly. Correct. So there is a bit of that too. But I think it has to progress across those 3 vectors that I outlined earlier. So I think we are in the second vector, and eventually we get to the enterprise scale.